Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Kim Jacobs Show. We are so excited to have you guys joining us today. And already I can see people joining in. I have the lovely Lady Linda Allen joining us. Hey, Lady Linda.
Hi, how are you, Lady Kim?
How are you today? I,
I am doing great, doing great.
I am
And
so excited that you're on.
I am, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be on the Kim Jacobs show. So I'm happy to be here. And I just thank you for all that you do for the community, for you do doing it Gabe's way. You're one of the hardest working women I know. You work like it depends on you, but I know you pray like it depends on God. So I'm excited where the Kim Jacobs show is going. So we're excited. So
Well,
we're
that's a way to kick the show off. I didn't even know you were going to say that. I'm so glad that you're on today. And I'm giving people in the studio audience an opportunity to come on in. Right now is the perfect time to share
okay.
the broadcast. You can share it with any of your friends, family members, and we just do a quick check to make sure everything's going smoothly. It's hard to check it prior to it going live. So the only way to check it is once it's gone live. So that's what we're all going to take a second to do. Go ahead and share this with your friends and your loved ones. Let everyone know that Kim Jacobs show is on the air and we are going to have a great time today. Today's topic is woo-hoo, if you don't have your cup of coffee, your tea, or some type of hydration, then make sure you take a moment and get that too, because we getting ready to have some deep conversation, y'all. And and don't forget to comment, and hopefully today the comments will appear, and I'll be able to pop them in. If not, I'll take the moments and look at the conversations, and you can ask Lady Linda Allen questions throughout today's broadcast. Let me just do a check as well. Okay. Yes, so we are good and we get ready to have a good time. All right, I'm going to introduce my special guest today. And then again, make sure you have your cup of coffee, tea, something. I have my cup of tea. Earl Grey tea is what I like, so I have Earl Grey. And by all means, you get your beverage of choice. Keep it clean, everybody. Keep it clean. God is watching. Okay. Evangelist Lady Linda Green is a dynamic woman of God. She serves diligently at Word of God Christian Center in Fayetteville, North Carolina, where she co pastors with her husband, Gary Allen Sr. Evangelist Allen is a voice of influence in the church as well as the greater Sand Hills region in North Carolina. She actually is a force to be reckoned with around the world. So even though she's putting it in a regional perspective, she's everything, y'all. Okay? Evangelist Allen works diligently with women in this region through providing monthly cake, coffee, and conversation meetings. Cake, Coffee, and Conversations is a place where women in the community can attain biblical guidance. So this is women in the community that attain biblical guidance to deal with challenges with their husbands, children, work, and any interpersonal issues that could be hindering their spiritual growth. She is also the chair of the Fayetteville, North Carolina chapter of Women in Ministry. And although this is a local chapter, she has grown to impact many other areas. Evangelist Allen believes firmly in prayer and the impact it can have on the life of believers. She has spearheaded prayer conferences all over the place, but primarily in Fayetteville, North Carolina, High Point, North Carolina, and I know all throughout the Church of God in Christ. I've seen her everywhere. Evangelist Allen is also a facilitator for the encounter and was recently selected as one of the 150 most influential women in the Church of God in Christ as during our 2015 Holy Convocation. And I know another one of my guests was also one of the top 150 most influential women, and that was Lady Lawana Grant. And she's
Yes.
also a force to be reckoned with. Evangelist Allen's fruit of the Spirit exudes excellence, encouraging others, and she believes in living according to Proverbs 31. Evangelist Allen is well respected and sought after as a speaker, and she's a graduate of the University of North Carolina at Greensboro. She holds a Bachelor of Science in Nursing, because that's really important as we talk today, too. Evangelist Allen is happily married. That's key. Happily married to her husband of 28 years, Superintendent Gary Allen Sr., and has two children, Mariah and Gary Jr. Welcome to today's show, Lady Linda Allen.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad you're on. And listen, now people have already been jumping on, so I want to go ahead and let you guys know that we're going to have a contest today, and Lady Linda Allen is going to be donating one of her books. And here is the criteria. So first of all, thank you for donating a book.
No problem.
Okay, so here's the criteria. Whoever gets the most people to watch the broadcast, you have to share it. Like during the broadcast, not all of this replay stuff. During the broadcast. So whoever gets the most people to watch the show during the broadcast, and you have to say, I am Tanisha's guest. I am Ella Spradley's guest. I am Tanya Jones' guest. I am Tracy Thomas's guest. I'm Patricia Pickett's guest. I'm Justine Hilliard's guest. You have to be specific that whoever is watching, tell them to say that they're your guest, and whoever the most guests by the end of the broadcast will get a book by Lady Linda Allen. So make you guys know that. And that's today's competition. Okay, we're going to jump right in. Okay. So, Cake, Coffee, and Conversations is a book that you should have read. If you didn't read it already, you can download it on a Kindle format, which is what I did, right on Amazon. And it comes right to your device immediately. So you can just download it and it'll come right to your phone, your iPad, whatever device you direct it to. But it's called Cake, Coffee, and Conversations. And it is available on cakecoffeeconversation.com. And that is shipping if you go through that method. But if you go through Amazon, it's also available in a downloadable form on Kindle. So before we get into the discussion about the book, tell us a little bit about yourself, Lady Allen, and what brought you to this place. Because I talk about balance on my show all the time and how to balance all these different aspects of life. So tell us about your journey.
Well, first of all, I am married to Gary Allen Sr., Pastor Gary Allen Sr., and that bio is a little old. We're going on 30 years in August. God, for my husband, who really pushed me to write the book, allowed me to come off my job to finish the book, and has been very instrumental, in the process. So I do thank God. Shout out to him. Thank God for him. I have two wonderful children, Mariah Allen, that's 26, and Gary Allen, that's 21. So I'm a nurse. You read that. And I guess, the journey is, I talk about in the book, some people marry their sweetheart who become a pastor. Some people marry a pastor, and they know up front. Well, I didn't know. I had no clue.
My husband said God would have to call him on the telephone in order for him to be a pastor. I was like, okay, well, just ring, right?
So, we were not, I didn't know that I was going to end up on this journey. So I don't know how far you want me to go, but pretty much, that's kind of where it started, not knowing, just kind of put in that position without any prerequisite, and so I had to learn a lot on my feet.
Okay, so this is going to be a good place to dive into the book, because you're right. It's going to transition right into Cake, Coffee, and Conversations. Why that title? Tell us why the title, Cake, Coffee, and Conversations.
Well, because we are, as you read in my bio, we've been doing Cake, Coffee, and Conversation for all women in our community for 10 years. So we've been meeting, it's the title that the Lord gave me. I've seen it other places since then, but it's been out there for 10 years. And the Lord gave it to me because I felt that women needed a support group in whatever we're going through.
Right.
Whether it's raising children, whether it's our marriage, whether it's understanding biblically, what am I supposed to do and how to apply the word of God. So we meet, it's not a big group, sometimes we've had up to 40, but we get in a circle, we'll casually dress, we pick a topic, whether it's women's health, whether it's women's health, whether it's domestic violence, whether it's eating right, whether it's taking care of ourselves, whether it's dealing with unforgiveness, whether it's whatever the topic. So we pick a topic and we
Good.
just talk about it, and it's a safe place. It's a safe place, and we have coffee, we have cake. Afterwards, we have prayer. We go through deliverances, need be. And so we have people from the community that come in, and people are looking for positive role models. A lot of times women can be known as to be catty and
Right.
and competitive and different things like that. So we wanted to bring a positive energy, which is the Holy Spirit. I ain't talking about no other kind of energy,
Right. Right.
but a positive atmosphere where women feel loved and we help each other get to the next level.
I
So,
love it.
and it's sisterhood, and we've developed a close relationship. So we started that 10 years ago, and it has done very well. And it's all different type. Anybody can come. Anybody, any female can come. So that's
Good.
how.
Good.
So when I wrote the book, I had a hard time. Shout out to Kathy, Sister Kathy Owens, who edited the book, and she was like, "Well, that if when you write the book, sometimes the title will find you."
Right.
And I had went through several different titles.
Is it CATH?
Huh?
Kathy? How do you
Kathy.
CA?
Yes.
Okay.
CATHY. And so when I finished the book, I didn't want it to be aggressive. I didn't want it to be real churchy. I didn't want it to be real. I wanted it to be soft and easy and inviting. And I didn't, so I said, well, why not just use what the platform already have? Because we are, as you can see, it's an easy read. It's just like you and I talking, sister to sister, and I'm sharing my experience, coupled with a lot of word.
I love it. I love it. And you're right. I'm glad you said that, because it is a very easy read, and it's very relatable and understand and easy to understand. I want to make sure if we're having any kind of, are you having feedback on your end at all?
No.
Okay, cool. Okay. So I want to make sure then that we just go ahead and jump into the book. But right from the beginning, you talk about your journey. The first thing I loved about the book was the fact that your husband wrote the foreword.
Yeah.
Everybody's trying to get all of these other kinds of people to comment on what you think about my journey, but for you to select your husband and him write some heartfelt words. Now, I obviously can't tell you every word because you got to get the book, but it will it's a tearjerker in itself that he wrote the foreword. Well, how did that make you feel that he wrote the foreword to your book?
It made me feel awesome. I mean, he is my number one supporter. After the Lord, he's my number one supporter, and Gary is, Pastor Allen. Not only is my pastor, but who else can say what? And you can read the foreword, and he's truly the writer. He just sat down in just 30 minutes, and what he wrote was so heartfelt, and so he's really such a good writer and such a good person with words. And when he got through, I was like, wow.
That was awesome. That's awesome. You have to get the book.
He is
for the forward.
Yeah. He's my number one supporter. And who else? He knows me better than anyone else. And he could attest to, you don't need to write this book because I know you, or you can write the book. So he gave me his approval, and I was very honored that he did that.
That's interesting that you called your husband Pastor Allen. I've done that the whole time in ministry. For 20 years, I've called my husband Pastor Jacobs when I'm dealing with other people regarding him. And I noticed that even as a pastor's wife, you give him that reverence and honor and respect. But then you notice that other people sometimes are more common with your husband more than you are in trying to put him in that role. How does that work in different ministries?
Well, Gary, excuse me. See, I'll say Gary too.
Well, I say you say your husband, but there's other people when they're calling them in a common way. Look, hey, you're like, oh, I just said Pastor Allen myself, and then you call him Gary.
Well, I don't always say Pastor Allen. I don't. Most of the time, I will say Gary a lot because but he is my pastor, and I respect him as my pastor. And we're not really, we just take it in stride. It's no, we know who God has called us to be,
Right.
and we don't really worry about titles. He's my husband is real laid back, really comfortable, and he's okay with that. If that's where the relationship is, then that's where it is. But
Right.
so we don't
Care one
we
way.
don't get stuck on it.
But what I'm asking
Yeah.
is, other people are like real common with a pastor in a relation, not just your pastor or my pastor, but just in general. If you recognize in some ministries that people are very comfortable and common with the pastor, and it not about their title, but just about how they actually feel like I'm very comfortable with this person at the level that it's just like, hey yo, hey yo. It's like, whoa, that's kind of too common, don't you think? Have you ever experienced that?
Well, some people are just, and it shows you sometimes, as the book says, people are at different levels spiritually. Maybe some people haven't been taught in certain areas, especially if he's pastoring you, then you need to, give him that respect.
Right.
Because you can't, you'll receive more if you don't get too familiar. When you get too familiar, you start receiving what God is trying to do because you're, so.
Well, okay. So I noticed that you're on your journey, you were under good leadership prior to becoming.
Excellent. Yeah.
And I wanted you to talk a little bit about you going from your journey of serving to becoming these leaders in ministry. How did that journey work for you and Pastor Allen?
Well, we had great leaders. The late Bishop Otis Lockett and First Lady Barbara Lockett, who's still my spiritual mom. We had great leaders that taught us. I mean, he taught the whole congregation, that he was raising up leaders. So even though we were in the pews, we all were taught how to lead. And he often said, I should be able to pick anybody out the crowd, and you should be able to come up and give us a word. You should be able to give us of the good teaching. And of course, First Lady Barbara Lockett is the epitome of class, and just a godly woman who has definitely modeled. And I wrote in my book, she's showed me more than she's told me about, how to be a first lady. So, and I think that when we went out, we actually went out to serve, when we went out, we to me, it's serving on a whole nother level, because you give up so much, and you are serving the people. So, it was great that we went to Pastor Lockett. It's in my book. And we asked for words of, you have any words for us, any advice, what we were so excited, what do you have what word are you going to tell us? He was getting ready to pray for us.
Right.
And he said, welcome to the School of Hard Knocks.
Welcome to
that was our word. The School of Hard Knocks.
Yeah. So that wasn't the word you were looking for, right? That's definitely.
No, that was not quite the word, but you know what? It was an eye opener, but it was true. And so, I thank God for his leadership. And now a lot of the book echoes been taught by them over the years. He's, both there through the book, things that we've learned. So I honor God for great leadership and my Evangel family.
Okay.
And my Word of God family.
I just want to make sure that it's not glitching. I just asked the audience and making sure, because on my end, I'm seeing a little glitch. But I want to make sure it's going smoothly. Now, when as you've now become this pastor and pastor's wife, how did that even happen for you guys? Because you were just, like you said, sweethearts before, and then you became these people. And that's pastors and pastors' wives. You dating, life was what it was, and now all of a sudden you're in thrust ministry at this level of leading God's people. How did that happen for you all?
Wow. Well, my husband had actually told me whenever we were dating that he felt God was calling him to ministry, and I thought, he just trying to, part of it, just to kind of draw me in. And, I didn't think no more about it, but he didn't say anything about it for 10 years. Never talked about it. We never had a discussion about it. The Lord had led me to fast and pray during that season, and that's in the book. And I didn't know why I was, the Lord had led me just to be so intense in prayer for him. And I talk about in the book how I bought all these books and just began to intercede for him. And then he came and said, okay, now it's time to talk to pastor. And I was like, about what? He said, it's time for me to receive, acknowledge my calling. So
Right.
he went to pastor, and he did his initial sermon. It was during a watch night. And then just a few months later, a church became open that needed a pastor 2 hours away, which was my hometown. And so pastor sent us. And so, we commuted back and forth for a while. I can't remember how long now. I think it was 9 months. And then we ended up moving closer to the church. So that's how it started.
That's good. Okay. And then he obviously, Bishop endorsed you guys and you became these.
Oh, yes. We were definitely one that was sent. We didn't just go. We were sent. And so, so that's how it happened, and so that was the journey. That's when it started.
Okay, hence now we're into cake, coffee, and conversation. So grab your cups, everybody, and let's talk about this book. And I don't know if we should go through every chapter, because the point is you need to make sure that people get the opportunity to
right
the book. But what angle do you want to start so we can just kind of deep dive into this great?
Wherever you want to start, it doesn't matter. Whatever. I mean, I'll just give a teaser. I won't go all the way into whatever you feel is it is a lot. So there's so many places we can start.
Oh no, okay. Yeah, we're gonna go.
Start. Okay.
You go ahead. Go from the beginning first. Let's just look at a couple of let me give you guys a couple of the actual chapter titles. Trust God Through the Journey, and Ministry is. So talk a little bit about what the journey looks like from your perspective.
The journey was, I talk about it in the book. We went through, as soon as we moved, we went through a challenge. My husband lost his job as soon as we were, Bishop Lockett had sent us down, and I talk about in the book that trouble is not an indication that you're not sent, And so at that time, of course, and I talk about it in the book, and I'll try not to say too much, we think because God sent us, it's his will. Of course, nothing's going to happen.
Wait, it's freezing. It's freezing.
Say something?
I don't want to go through the whole interview. It's freezing. So we got to make sure we get this right. So I don't know. Is the internet over there working smoothly? Double check. Showing good bars and stuff.
I see it now.
Just check that right. And then also, while she's checking that, I definitely want to make sure that I share a couple of the audience comments. And the comments are good morning. And you know what? The comments are also coming right across your face. So go a little taller, Lady Allen. Stand up a little bit taller. Sit up a little bit taller.
For me?
Yeah, you, because the comments are right on your mouth. Perfect. Yes. Okay. Because I don't want to put anybody's comments up and it'd be like right there in your mouth. Okay. So Lady Hilliard said good morning to you this morning. And let's see. Dawn Whitty is saying she's praying for you. God bless you. These are some of the audience comments. And I love Lady Allen. Veronica McKinney is on, and she said, truly a sweet, kind, genuine spirit inside and out.
Oh, God bless you, Lady McKinney.
Oh, yeah, I can hear you good now. Okay. I wanted to make sure. Tracy Rory says, yes, she is. She loves Lady Lockett too. And Jackie Hedden says, yes, you're still serving, but at another level. God bless you, Lady Allen.
God bless you, Lady Hedden. God bless you.
Okay, Lady Hilliard, she said, I can hear clearly. Okay, good. And then Lady Kim Langford said, good morning. I'm glad to be here and I'm good over here. All right. Awesome book is what Tanisha Sharp says. So welcome, everyone.
Oh, yeah.
And okay, so Lady Allen, in chapter 3, you talk about from a first lady perspective and people calling people title of first lady. Do you want to talk about what that negative connotation that you talk about in that chapter is pretty interesting. I was like, oh, that's a good angle.
Yes, chapter 3 says, you're not the first lady, you're the only lady. Sometime especially particularly the Black church, the first lady, the pastor's wife is called the first lady, and that usually indicates that there's a second and a third, or maybe it could indicate, you know what I'm saying? So in the book, I say you're not the first lady, you're the only lady, and that chapter is talking about you're the only lady that can meet the sexual needs or the intimacy with your husband. You know, the ladies in the church can bring them a handkerchief and they can get them coffee, but they cannot give him intimacy. So that chapter we talk about the importance, because sometimes when we are both flowing in ministry, we forget to balance, and I'm talking to the balance doctor.
Right.
So we forget to balance everything and make sure. So many marriages are in trouble. We're saving the church, but we're losing our spouse. And so, we have to make sure that, when it's said and done, it's not God's will that we, save the church and then our family we're divorced, we know God hates divorce. So, and so that chapter, I was just given 120% or more in ministry. And my husband had to remind me, somebody else can do that stuff in church you're doing, but they can't do what I need for you to do at home.
That's
so
good.
In the book we talk about the importance of meeting your husband's need, that the only thing you have to be is his wife. That's your first calling. That's our first calling as pastor's wife. So some more little goodies in there that I won't go into. And I sell the book to the men. I tell them the third chapter. Yeah, it's worth it for the third chapter.
That's I typed, you said the only thing you have to be as a pastor's wife is his wife. You don't have to try to do everything in ministry. That is a good point, and I'm putting that on the screen. Some of the stuff that you say, I'm typing it. People can go back and later journal it. So the only thing you have to be as a pastor's wife is his wife. Some of the other things in ministry can be done. That's really good. I wrote down. One thing that you said that I thought was really cool in that chapter was that the only thing, you are the only person that can satisfy your husband scripturally. I never heard that like that. What did you mean by that?
Yeah. Well, scripturally, anybody else that tried to meet his needs intimately, that's adultery. So you are the only lady, and I don't want to get, but sometimes we have, women, I'm with you, I feel you, I don't want you to think that I'm on there. The truth is the truth. And so sometimes the word is hard but it's the truth. But I'm out to help you save your marriage. Because what happens is, we get so engrossed in ministry that we forget that we're the only one that can meet our husband's need. And we counsel, or shall I say, speak with other women who say, well, I don't feel like being intimate with my husband. I just don't feel like it. I got this going on and this and that. And the question I normally ask is, well, who can meet his needs then? Can you give us a name? Of course, that's just to get them to think. That's right. Not to, we know adultery.
Really give a name.
Yeah. So that kind of makes them think, you're right. I don't think it's fair to be, and this is vice versa. This goes both ways. If your husband is traveling and he's not meeting your needs, we need to pump the brakes on that. Because you don't want to save the world and then your families. That's not the will of God. So, that goes both ways. And sometimes husbands, they need to, you need to have that conversation. Look, you're traveling too much, or I need to go with you. You need to speak out and because it's not, people say, well, we're out doing God's work. Well, your work started at home.
Yeah, you got an attitude. You're like, well, your work, you got to see how you can tell when you're in the cake coffee conversation, you got like an attitude. You're like, yeah, your work started. You got your whole head shaking and everything. I love it.
We see too many marriages breaking up. Teaching other couples, but yet our marriage is not making it. So, even though Gary and I, we teach marriage. We also sit under people so that we can be taught. We don't know it all, of course. We're still learning and we're still growing. And we love marriage because we know it can work. And we just have to bring that balance and don't, let's do the word. We have to do the word and we have to be balanced in that because, there's a whole, family displaced when that happens. So, and a lot of times it starts with intimacy. There's always, it boils down to, they're married to the church, and a woman could be married to the church, but God, He's married to the church. You got to be married to your spouse. So that third, I'll let them read the rest of that.
Oh my God, y'all! You see what I'm saying? Y'all got to go back and get. Let me go ahead and put this up again. Get Cake Coffee Conversations by going to cakecoffeeconversation.com. Whether you're a pastor's wife, working in ministry, it's a lot of different aspects to this book and to these conversations. You can have a book club pertaining to it and really deep dive and have the author come in later, Lady Linda Allen, and just be like icing the cake with her beautiful look and her attitude. Girl, y'all will be in a serious discussion. Or you can get it on Amazon. Everybody can download it right on their phones. Okay, so going to chapter 4 and chapter 5, when I was listening to reading those, it brought me into the perspective of the importance of setting boundaries. And you're talking heavily about boundary setting pertaining to the marriage, but also pertaining to the children. What is your philosophy? Because I won't go through just the book itself, but your philosophy on setting boundaries when it comes to your spouse and pertaining to your children.
Wow. like I said earlier, we came out of a very good teaching ministry. Mm-hmm. And Bishop Lockett taught us, number one, if your spouse, and this is not pastor, this is anybody, if your spouse has a problem with a female or your husband has a problem with a male, no questions asked, cut that relationship. Mm. So Gary and I, and I'm talking from a husband standpoint now, so I'm calling Gary. Gary and I, we held that close. There's been times he said, "Oh, you overreacting," and there's been times I was like, "Are you jealous? Are you serious?" But I would take heed, and we would cut the relationship, and it may have just been, it's not that just somebody that we're bypassing or somebody that we. So we set boundaries that if the other person don't feel comfortable, because we realize, especially men, give me some hearts, ladies. Men are very naive. They sometimes they're clueless when somebody is flirty. But women, we got our radar up. We look at the Holy Spirit. And
that right there is a problem.
So we set boundaries. So there's if and I think if we set boundaries, we can prevent falls. My husband never counsels another female without somebody being in the room. There's always, most of the time, my husband grabs me and want me to come. Or, I'm always there. Now, I happen to be there that Sunday. He'll grab one of the elders and their wives, but he never counsels another female alone. He never, if somebody comes and talks, that want to have a conversation with him, his armor bearer is not to leave his side ever. So he has things set in place that if anybody says anything different, I have somebody that can vouch. And same with me. If I'm texting one of the elders or one of the brothers from the church, I normally always put my husband or their wife on the text.
Right.
On the text. We teach our members that if you are texting somebody married or even always cover yourself, do a group text where everybody is in. So, we have those boundaries. If we're out and you hug somebody or if you meet somebody, I always tell my husband, I always know where I am for safety reasons. And just because I like him to know where I am, I always know where he is. If he runs into somebody and that kind of thing. So, we have boundaries and we try to live by those boundaries. Now, there's sometimes that people come up of the opposite sex. I was standing there one time and this female kissed him on the cheek in front of me. No, that's not that. We don't do that. Okay, a handshake is good. I have been that and kiss me on the cheek. Don't kiss me on the cheek. Not even in the name of the Lord. Shake my hand. Okay. So we have certain things set up because we're living in a time that perversion is running rampant. Right. You're living in a time that women, haven't been touched or hugged. Men, they're heavy in pornography, and so or got things going on. We could be saved and still not be totally delivered. So you want to set those boundaries. And if something, so we have things set in place to protect our marriage. We both have to work to protect our marriage, and that's what we do.
I love that. I love it. And there's some good, wise advice that you're sharing. And if you put those boundaries in place, you can only succeed. So this is some great cake, coffee, and conversation, everybody. Let's look at some of these studio audience comments. Family is your first ministry. That came from Courtney Jacobs. And that's my brother. Amen. It happens often came from Lady Kim Langford. That can be very hard if you're gifted in many areas. So she was commenting on something that you shared earlier. And anything that you want to speak to, feel free to any of these comments. Oh, Courtney said, you're talking now. Your work starts at home.
Yes, it starts at home. I mean, we can be, and also our children. Let me just say that for the people who have little young kids, and just be very careful. Remember that everybody that's in your church won't always be in your church. They will move, and just be very careful who. In any relationship, that status is subject to change. Big time. Be careful about who you allow your kids to go home with. Oh, did we lose each other?
You're there.
I think she's coming back.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point, to make sure that we are careful who we let our kids be around. I know it's so important, because if you feel uncomfortable in any way, shape, or form about anybody, and you express that to your spouse, whether your spouse has an understanding or not, then that has to something be honored. Because there are times when I've not been comfortable with a person regarding my children, and I've expressed that, and we immediately made a change. But then there are times when I've been not comfortable with an adult, and I've expressed that too, and then some changes happen. And then there are times when you don't see eye to eye on a particular person or people, then that's important to know. How do you handle situations like that? When your spouse believes, oh, you're overreacting. No, I can't believe you're looking at it that way. Just calm down. And you're saying, no, that is a problem. Now, how do you handle something like that for those that are pastors' wives?
Well, you need to follow your instinct. You need to always follow your instinct. There was times, as I said in the book, I felt like I couldn't trust hardly anybody, in that time, and certain people. But I rather to err on the side of caution. And my husband always left it to me, because but what I did do is I created, because they couldn't hang with certain people, I created who I wanted them to be around. We have some families that we grew up together with in Greensboro that my kids were very close to. So I went out of my way to create an atmosphere where I would drive to Greensboro and get a hotel room at the Embassy Suite and let the kids have a pizza party and go swimming. I would go out of my way to put them in an atmosphere with other kids. And those kids were not perfect by no means, but the thing that I loved about it, all the parents believed the same way. So I needed that. I needed the parents to believe the same way that I did, which was based on the scripture. And so, for instance, I took the girls for their 16th, my daughter's 16th birthday party to Great Wolf Lodge. And they wanted to get there, something pierced. I don't know what it was, but they wanted to get something pierced. They were kids. And I said, well, I'll tell you what, y'all ask your parents, and if your parents say so, we'll do it. But I knew their parents. And I knew their parents weren't going to say so. So that helped me win. So they all came back saying no. Our parents said no. So I wanted my kids in that atmosphere who parents believe the same, because kids are going to be kids. So I had to go out of my way a lot. I had to have sleepovers here, bring all the kids, their friends here sometime. So you have to do what you have to do, because your kids need that. They need to have people that they can play with and they can relate to, and they need that socialization. But there was don't ever get so busy that you just pick a babysitter to keep your kids because you got to go minister. Don't ever do that. Cancel that engagement if you don't feel comfortable, because there's so many kids being abused, and you're finding out. And I honestly can say the people that I was questioning, some stuff came out later. So you don't know everything. Sometimes you'll find out when they leave your ministry. Sometimes you'll find out, later on that there were some things going on. They love God, but they're not totally delivered. A lot of people are dealing with molestation, have been raped, have just got a history, homosexuality, just issues. And so you want to be very careful with that. Realize that that person may not have the same status always.
That
so
is
I want to caution you.
That is some good feedback. Cancel your engagement before you just leave your kids with anybody that you have question about. But see, the thing is, Lady Allen, there are people that go to great measures to trick you out. So you don't, you know that you feel it's like they trick you, and they're going. That's what their intent is to trick you out, and you don't even know that you're being tricked out, even though you may feel like, let me just pay attention and see what I'm peeping here. And like I know with my children, I don't ever let my children go with anybody, and I don't have a problem telling people, and no matter how people feel about it, it's okay. If you feel that I'm offending you, I'm not trying to offend you. I'm just simply trying to make sure that my children are protected at the level that I want to. And the scripture that you say that I love in your book is Psalm 127:3-5, and you said, "Lo," well, no, the Word of God says this, but you put it in your book. "Lo, children are the heritage of the Lord, and the fruit of the womb is His reward." I love that you put that in your book. It's our
yes, we just, we've seen too many, and some people think it's too much, but you got to be led by the Spirit of God, because you don't want to have to, you don't want to have to deal with regret later. So if you do feel any type of way, and there are some great people, and they may mean well, but you not only do you have to, let me say this, and we can, you don't only have to worry about who's in the house, but who's visiting, who comes over, who's friends with the brother, there's a lot of moving parts. And so, you have to be the parent. And my daughter didn't understand, because she thought, well, Mama, they go to our church, and honey, but people are they're not well. Everybody's not well. People are still dealing with things and issues. And so I'm not being paranoid, but be prayerful.
Be prayerful. That's so key, because it's not, and I think I am more paranoid but I am prayerful as well. But that's the key thing, being prayerful and knowing who your spirit connects with enough for you to feel comfortable to have your children. And I love that you're talking about that. Here, Lady Grant says, "Hi, beautiful ladies. Congratulations." She's talking about your book and everything.
Hi, how are you, Lady Grant?
My mommy is on here, and she said, "Good morning, beautiful ladies. I have my tea and I'm watching." And,
hey, Mom, how are you?
Lady Hilliard said, "Amen" to everything that you said. And a few people said, Lady Pickett said, "Clueless." Some men are clueless, and
yes, they are.
So they just said some different comments. "Slow as a box of rocks," Lady Langford said. People really enjoying their coffee and conversation with you. So now you also talk a lot about don't react to the offense negatively. So if someone offends you in ministry, you talk about that throughout your book. Don't react negatively. What do you want to say about that?
The chapter of offense. If you don't read any of the chapter, please read that. Well, I talk about a lot in the book that we're at different places. I mean, maturity wise, if we could all be seen in the spirit, you have babies, you have toddlers, you have teenagers, you have adults. We're all at different levels, and that kind of help me to understand that when people show you where they are, believe it. Not that I have people, of course, my mentors. I'm growing up to them. I'm still not at that level. There's people under me.
That level.
Okay? Yeah, so I'm still being mentored as I mentor others.
Right.
So I want to say that, but people are, if someone comes and offend you on a certain level, that shows you where they are. In some cases, sometimes people think that, and I thought it. I mean, I didn't think that I could really offend my first lady, a pastor, because they're not going to think about anything I'm saying, but that's not true. Right. We do have feelings. even though we love God, you know, we still have feelings. We're
That's
human,
right.
and we do get sometimes offended by things that people say because they feel like we're too holy to get offended. So you know, don't react negatively.
Right.
You know, we have to sometimes just pray about it and allow God to deal with that offense. And I don't know I don't know how far you want to go into offense because we can go there, but
Well,
and
good stuff.
it talks about, huh?
I said, this is some
What
great
did you
stuff
say?
that you're saying. Well, I can tell you one place
Yeah.
I wanted to go that I wrote down, and it says, you said
Okay.
what happened. What happens when the sheep bite? Do you slaughter them? What do you recommend that people do that like never even ask for apologies? That's something that I wrote down. They never ask for an apology, but you
Okay.
talked a lot about this in your book. Are you afraid?
Well, okay. You know, we have to forgive. It doesn't matter if they ask for apology or not.
Right.
You know, because if we hold on to unforgiveness, it's like a cancer that eats away and can turn into cancer, you know, and high blood pressure and ulcers, depending on the severity of the act that was done to you.
Right.
Sometimes we feel like, well, as bad what happened to me, I have a right to be angry. You do. The Bible says, you know, don't let the sun go down, be angry, sin not. Don't let the sun go down on your wrath. So he gives us he gives us some time to cool off, but he's saying you need to get it together. There's a time span here. Okay, and we have to realize what offense is, what it does. You know, we hold on to it, and it turns into bitterness, even hatred.
Right.
And the person that offended you is there out there eating hot dogs and having a good time and enjoying their life.
That's
And
what I notice in life. I don't have any. When I say I don't have hatred for anybody, I don't hate anybody, no matter what's been done to me or against me, or they think was being done against me. I fine because at the end of the day, people are going on with their lives and they are having a blast, and you're over there having like swollen eyes and congested nose. I'm like, well, why am I over here? Why am I over here crying at this level when everybody else is just like, hey, how's your day? And going on. That's crazy. I'm not going to be bitter about it.
Again, we have to look at the maturity of what and realize that our trust is in God. You know, we have to realize, and I say in the book, and I've said before, we can't trust God from crisis to crisis. We have to trust God with our whole lives. And I have learned that growing through offense has processed me and caused me to grow up.
Right.
I always say that, you know, God is, you know, God is taking us through a process so that we can have what we've been asking for. And there's times you told me you're not ready for this because you can't deal with this. If you can't deal with this on this level, you can't expect it to go up any higher because new levels, new devils. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, we have to be able to deal with that. And the thing is that, you know, because it's showing another side of maturity. Right. And especially when you've been wounded. I talk about how, you know, in the book, how I dealt with something that I didn't even realize why it hurt me so bad. Right. I mean, I didn't understand why it hurt me on that level and why I was, you know, and I talk about in the book that when it happened, I couldn't fix my face. You know, I just couldn't fix it. Right. Because I'm in a group of people, but I was so crushed, and my husband knew I was crushed. And I didn't understand why that particular thing hurt me so bad. Right. But I realized that it was coming from some unresolved issues with me, low self-esteem, things that I was already dealing with that I had been delivered from, but probably some residual was still there. So right. That person said something that coincided with what the enemy was trying to tell me. I just was crushed. Because and I begin to, and this is what I put in the book, you know, it's going to happen. The Bible says it's impossible that offenses don't come. That's right. It's up to us if we open the door and let it in. That's the bottom. This is Monday I'm saying. If you open the door and let it in, and how long it stays. That's right. And so I realized that if I would have slept on that and kept it, it goes deeper and deeper when you don't deal with it, and the roots will go deep. And before you know it, you're bitter and you have a lot of hatred, and you can feel that from miles away. You can feel people that are bitter. You can feel their their presence. And so the thing is that I said, I gotta forgive. And the main reason I forgive is because I need God to forgive me.
That's
Come on,
right.
somebody. I need God to forgive me. I
The
am not
main
perfect. I'm
reason.
going to offend people, not meaning to, but I need God to forgive me. And he said, if you don't forgive them, you're not going to be forgiven. And I need God to forgive me. So no matter, it's not an option for children of the Lord.
That's right.
No matter what was done to you, no matter if they apologize,
It doesn't
doesn't matter. Whatever. They owe me nothing, not even an apology. And
That's
guess
right.
what? Once I go from this, oh God, the oil that's going to come from it.
Well, I can tell you, Lady Allen, that is one of the biggest things that I've learned in life is that whether a person asks for forgiveness or whether they never part their lips to ask or whether we ever encounter each other again, the point is if you know that I have to forgive, that there's something that's been done and you're wondering whether I have ever forgiven you, all is forgiven. All is forgiven. And the same, I actually ask anybody else that I've ever offended. And I just said on one of my shows, it was a younger lady when I was a child, and I didn't even know I had even done anything to offend her. But many years later, like a 20-year class reunion, she shared something with me, and I was like, I did that, and I didn't even know I did. I didn't even remember. But guess what? I asked for forgiveness,
and she held on to it that long. Wow.
and guess what? Now all is forgiven, and I personally even asked for forgiveness. So my thing is, forgiveness is a beautiful thing to be able to say, I am free and I can go on with my life without any chains holding me. And that is a beautiful thing that you talk about in your book. I love how you talk about forgiveness.
Yeah,
So,
it's when you're waiting on somebody to give you an apology, they have the power. And if they never ask for an apology, what are you going to do? You're going to hold it?
I forgive you. And it's not in a condescending way. It's sincere because, like you say, from a nurse perspective. Now, talk about some of the side effects and things that can happen physically if you just hold on to the bitterness and the hatred and this anger in the inside of your spirit.
Well, I talk about a study in the book, and it talks about that how, and this was how they relate, and this is a medical study, how they related that some of the issues, people that have been through traumatic experience and had not forgiven, how they could see that they had a higher percentage, it somehow correlated with cancer. Mm-hmm. And so we see from a nursing point of view, people come in and they're getting checked and they can't find anything medically wrong, and a lot of times it's stress, but sometimes it does affect their body as far as headaches and high blood pressure, ulcers, just rigid, arthritis and different things. Those things can sit in because you're holding it, and when we don't forgive, it's almost like you just, let me say, so much come to my mind with unforgiveness. Let me just say this. I found that even doing encounters, and just to talk about encounters are a weekend away. We do have them for women as well as pastors' wives, and we have one coming up at the end of the year. It's a whole weekend that you do.
What is it called?
The First Ladies Encounter. First Ladies Encounter. We have them for first ladies and just women in general. There's going to be a First Ladies Encounter at the end of the year. Probably November is what we're looking at. But it's the time that First Ladies can get away and get what you need. It's a whole weekend, casual dress, and we just deal with hurt, pain, unforgiveness, rededication, and all that. And it's a small, intimate group. So you can definitely go to ldallenministries.com and just send me your information if you want to come to that. But hopefully I'll get that out to you. But if you email me, I'll make sure you're on the list whenever we have those. But let me say this, Lady Kim. What we found in encounters and what, working with women for years is that I've talked to people who are crying and it's so raw. The hurt is really, really there. And, if they're telling me I'm biting tears, we're just having a moment. And I finally asked the question, well, when did this happen? I'm thinking like last week, last month, like 10 years ago. 20 years ago.
Right.
When we do not forgive, it's like it's frozen in time.
Yes.
And it's thawing out, and those emotions are just as raw as when it happened. And if you don't forgive, the bitterness gets worse and worse and worse. And I've seen some first ladies, and they say, well, she's standoffish, and she's to herself, because that, in my book I talk about, it's probably some lovely first lady who has been hurt so bad, and unforgiveness is the only key. Now this happens for first ladies to anybody.
Yeah.
You are locking yourself in a prison when you don't forgive, but you have the key. Set yourself free.
Well,
When you don't forgive, it stays on your mind. You're meditating on it all the time. You get up with it, you go to bed with it, and it's going deep, and it turns into bitterness, even hatred. So, and it can take your mind. So be careful.
well, that's some good stuff, because one thing when you talk about that bitterness and that hatred and that anger, it's sometimes in the book you actually address this too, because of the fact that it's coming from sometimes the people closest to you. And you specifically
Yes.
share an example of, like, in one of the chapters, you say armor bearers and people that are close in ministry.
Oh, yeah.
Their trust, like publicly saying, hey, I'm with you, Pastor. I'm not going anywhere. And then all of a sudden they, it's like, huh? What happened? I thought you were with us. I thought you were my ace boon coon.
Yeah.
So you talk about that too.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes they're the first to leave. And I also said, one thing, key point that I say in the book is that, we come from a military town. Our ministry's in a military town. So we have people transitioning out all the time. And I talk about the first beautiful couple that was very instrumental in our church, and they left. They were getting ready to leave. Well, I took it pretty hard because, I had it planned out.
Right.
We just started. They're gonna, I had it all planned. They're gonna be here with us. They're very instrumental in us relocating to Fayetteville. And so, I'm up and I'm literally crying, saying goodbye, and they were like fine. And I thought, I know they liked us. They don't seem to be emotional. But they shared something with us, because they said they have learned how to detach, their emotion, because military people move so much. If they didn't know how to detach, they would probably have some mental issues. And so they know how to detach. So that I took that principle and I said, okay, Linda, you got to learn how to detach. And so the only person that's indispensable in your ministry is God. God is the only person that you cannot live without. So in my mind, I have set in my mind that anybody can leave our ministry at any time. I've already prepared myself. And so they taught me, I love our members. I love the people that we pastor at Word of God Christian Center. Shout out to you. I love them dearly. But, the only way to survive is to be able to detach and realize, the late Bishop Lockett, I have a lot of words in me, so you're going to hear him, things that he taught us. It's just a part of us. That he said, God will not allow anybody to leave your life that's necessary for your future. Woo! So if they leave, they're not a part of your future. Wow. Quote. That's Bishop. So when people leave, you don't, you just realize that God is going to replace. And maybe that person was only there for a season. Some people are only there for a season. And some people that start with you are not going to end with you. Woo, if I can get that to everybody. Everybody that start with you will not end with you. They're only there for a season. Some of them are only there for a season. Some people will leave because of job transfer. Some people will leave because of moving to other churches. Some people leave because they're offended. But we have to realize that God is in control. He is in control. I am here to fulfill my assignment. I just want to hear him say, well done. I just want to hear him say, well done, thy good and faithful servant. I just want to complete my assignment. I am not responsible for the results. I'm only responsible for being obedient. Whether it's 10 or 10,000, I am responsible for being obedient. And that's just where it is. That's just
okay. This is so good. I'm typing so much. Okay. I put so many notes on here that Lady Linda Allen has shared today on the Kim Jacobs Show. She only wants to hear, and I say we, because I only want to hear too. Well done, thy good and faithful servant. Oh my God. That's if we hear those words as a pastor's wife, in our job.
I want to complete my assignment.
That we completed our assignment.
So, we have to keep it in perspective. We have to keep things in perspective. So part of the process is if you don't forgive, you will be stuck. You don't want to be stuck.
Well, I
you
want
want
to
to
go
get
to
through.
a few audience comments because there's a lot of people joining on here to support you today. Lady J. Nicole Goodson says, "Good morning, ladies." And she's like, she don't want to be at the forefront too much, even though she has the voice of an angel here. Okay, she said, "Offenses have helped me to grow spiritually, physically, and emotionally. God, thank you for them." And Courtney Jacob said, "Confirmation, when people show you who they are, believe them."
Yes.
Kimberly Bowser says, "Good morning." And Tashura Bowser, Lady Bowser says, "Good morning." She's joined us as well.
Good morning.
And Tanisha Sharp says, "We love you too, First Lady Allen." Chantel Patterson said, "Good morning to you." Sean said, "Responsible for being obedient."
We're responsible for being obedient.
And Sean, if you could do me a favor as well and count how many people are on here that said that somebody invited them, because Lady Linda Allen is giving a book away. Sean Hall helps me behind the scenes. So we're going to announce that winner in a minute. And remember, at the beginning of the broadcast, we said that if you share the broadcast and tell them to type that you invited them to the broadcast this morning, you're going to win a book today before we close out. Sean Hall also asked, can you please nominate any moms for the first line workers and responders that we're honoring on Friday? Just so everyone knows, on this Friday, May 8th, we are honoring first line workers, frontline workers, responders, first responders. We're honoring people that are essential workers, and that's what the entire show is dedicated to on this Friday. So please, if you even have any recommendations, Lady Allen, nominations, any pastors' wives that are on here, please recommend those people. We're going to honor 10 women on this Friday. And then from all walks of life. We don't know who they are. So we don't know who the 10 women are until you guys that are in my audience, the pastors and pastors' wives and community members that are going to nominate these 10 women to be honored. We'll bring them on the Kim Jacobs Show. And during the show, we're going to be giving them a donation that's been given from community members. So any of you guys that want to participate, you please recommend people. And here's what would happen. Let me give you this. I'm trying to make sure I go to that tab right quick. You can Cash App me, Kim Jacobs at Kim Jacobs Inc. Or you can also send it to my PayPal, kim@thebalancedoctor.tv. And any donation amount that you want to be given to one of the honorees, specify, hey, I'm giving $100 and I want $25 to go to this many honorees. That's what's going to happen. It's not a fundraiser. So if you would like to honor one of our honorees that's going to be honored on Friday, specify what dollar amount you want your company to get a shout out, and we'll acknowledge you on Friday's broadcast as being one of the donors for our honoring of our Mother's Day guests, which is going to be mothers that are frontline. Awesome. All right. Some more comments came in. Oh, Sean said, I'm donating. So she's donating to be able to donate to Friday. Thank you, Sean. If you were invited here today, please put a 1 in the comment. Okay. So we're getting a tally right quick. Oh, I thought this was like a very informative show. Is there anything else that you want to leave everyone with, Lady Linda Allen, that you just said, dog, I really wish I had made this one point on today's show?
Well, I just want to shout out, the book will bless anyone, but I definitely want the pastors' wives to know the last chapter talks about being confident in who you are. I would say, and there's a chapter called Don't Be a Lone Ranger. If you're out there and you're going through certain things, please make sure, pray that God will give you a mentor, somebody that can mentor you. Don't feel like you have to go through alone. Find someone that you can talk to, that you can confide in, and you can definitely email me. But, just that you're not alone. Don't be secluded. Reach out to other first ladies. There's so many things going on that's free, that's on Facebook. Try to put yourself in a position, because sometimes we feel like we have nobody to talk to. We suffer in silence. We feel like we have to cover, we can't talk because we have to cover our husbands in some areas, or maybe, you know, you got your own personal things going on, but find somebody that you can pour into, somebody that you can pour into, have someone that you're mentoring, but definitely someone that can mentor you, because you are not alone and you shouldn't have to suffer in silence. That's basically where my book derived from is, you know, we didn't get into it, but the journey and some things that I went through. And I felt that I had no one to talk to because, you know, sometimes it looks like everybody has it together but us. Well, let me tell you, we all have a cross to bear.
Yeah.
And no one has it all together, okay? No matter what we look like, okay?
It
We
doesn't
all have a cross to
it doesn't matter how cute you can dress up
yeah.
and come to the social media world. And behind the scenes, not one person on this earth has it all together. It's not humanly possible because that goes against what we go. Way is a suffering way. So sometimes you're going to have some issues that happen in your life, and you don't put all of your issues out on the main screen. And that's why, you know, you kind of like may allude to things in the book, but you don't go into every detail and nuance in the book. But you want the gist of it to help somebody's life, you know?
Yes, yes. And so, you know, and then there is one chapter that, let me say this and I'm gonna go. I mean, there's one chapter is that being confident, being you is one chapter. And one of it talk about resources. And I won't talk a lot about that, but what happens when the resources dry up? What happens when it's time, you know, what do? You know, as far as financially and dealing with your own personal. So there's, there's also some information in there, but, you know, I just want every first lady to walk in their call and be confident in you. You have to be confident in you, know that God has blessed you with gifts and talents, and He's called you for a purpose, not a position. Your position is included in that purpose. Find your position of a first lady is not your only purpose in life. It's, you know, God has created you for so much more than a first lady. We respect that. That's a great calling, but don't forget all the things that God has put in your heart to do as well. He's called you for a purpose, not only a position. So I hope you enjoyed the cake, coffee, and conversation. And Lady Jacobs, I thank you for having me.
I am so glad that you came on. And today's discussion has been so enlightening and informative and light. Even though it's an intense topic, with your beauty and your smile and your elegance, you just made it palatable. And I forgot that I was drinking my tea, but then the stuff got so good, I sat the tea down. I was like, wait a minute, I need to take some notes. But I have my copy of Cake, Coffee, and Conversation, so make sure you get your copy today. God has called you for a purpose, not a position. Let me see who won the book. I'm trying to figure this out before I disconnect. Okay, who invited you today? I asked that. Okay. Lady Hilliard said, your pastor's wives, we're not alone, is what I'm sure she's probably trying to say. Andrea Thomas. Okay, Andrea Thomas Murray, thanks for joining. People are shouting out their own people that they invited. Awesome. Tashura Browser says she's going to go back and watch the replay and get a mentor, is what Sean Hall said. Okay, so I don't know who won yet, so somebody needs to tell me that. I'm trying to do a live contest. Make sure while we're tallying it up, subscribe to the Kim Jacobs Show on YouTube. Take a moment, turn on your notifications every day, Monday through Friday, 11 o'clock a.m. We come on live tomorrow. I have Les Brown, who will be my guest. So make sure you tune in tomorrow at 11 o'clock a.m. to the broadcast, and you'll learn more about the greatness that lies within you. So make sure you be a part of that tomorrow. And every day, I always put this up as well. We have our church prayer line, and it's from 12 to 12:30. Usually for the first 10 or so minutes, Pastor Jacobs goes over some COVID statistics, but we're praying for people that are dealing with all kinds of tragedies during this time, people that are still suffering, getting diagnosed with the disease, people that are trying to see their loved ones and they're alone, they're in hospitals alone. There are people all over the world right now, guys, that need us to pray. So every day from 12 to 12:30, in 978 990-5000. Access code is 322083, and make sure you press the pound. I'm going to check one more time and see who the winner of the book is right quick.
Lady Jacobs, can I say something while you're doing that?
Yes.
I want to invite the first ladies. We'll be doing a Zoom call in June, Coffee and Conversations for pastors' wives only. And so we had one last month, and it was successful. We thank God for the pastors' wives that got on. So if you would just keep a lookout, I'm not sure the date yet. We're still putting it together, but it will definitely be on my page, Linda Allen, or on Instagram, Linda Denise Allen, or K Coffee and Conversation. But it would be on one of those pages. For the next one.
Wait a minute. I'm going to delete that one. I got to my max all of these points. Wait a minute. I'll post what you just said because I want to make sure the Zoom conference call that Lady Allen is referring to will take place in June. And you can actually find out more information about the Zoom conference call that's for pastors' wives. Is that who it's for? For pastors' wives? Mm-hmm. Okay, and it's going to be on kcoffeeconversation.com, or you can email her directly at ldallenministries@gmail.com to get more information.
Leave me email. They can leave me their email and I'll send them the invite to Zoom.
Okay, so if you email her and give her your email address, she will invite you directly to the Zoom. Okay, so we're going to announce the winner today. And this is people start saying, oh, no, these people ain't saying that I invited them. So Lady Justine Hilliard invited 3 people to join today on the broadcast. So Lady Hilliard, you are the winner of the Cake Conversations. And so make sure you email.
But anyway, I'll just give her information.
Say it again, Lady Allen.
If she would email me at ldallenministries@gmail.com, her information, I will mail it out to her and I will sign it.
Oh, thank you so much for being on today. And you are boy. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Thanks for having me. And I'm excited. The Kim Jacobs Show is awesome. And I know God's going to do some great things.
God bless you. Thank you all for tuning in today. Love you all. God bless you. You stay on, Lady. I want to say something to you, but God bless everyone else. We're going to go ahead and end today's broadcast. Thank you for watching.